Good day, Harry Potter fans. We've got a new chapter for Backward with Purpose, Part 1, Always and Always, by Dead Woodpecker. We are at Chapter 33, Like Drawing in a Mirror.
Chapter 33, Like Drawing in a Mirror. Chapter text: Harry Potter Vindicated. Duels WHO by Gardenian Alley. Dozens and dozens of eyewitness accounts describe the harrowing event that took place in the atrium of the Ministry of Magic. Harry Potter and he who must not be named dueled each other in a display of power not often seen. It was like watching two giants, said Mary Plum of the Department of International Magical Cooperation. I've never been more terrified in my life. But yes, it was a bit exhilarating too. See Great Duelists in History, page 2. Albus Dumbledore, who had been there in a meeting with Arthur Weasley, also witnessed the event, though he took a more somber and regretful tone. It is a great tragedy that we, the wizarding world, turned our back on Harry Potter and those faithful to him. We have forced him, Ginevra Weasley, Ronald Weasley, and Hermione Granger to shoulder an impossible burden. The Daily Prophet would like to say that it could not agree more. We would like to issue full apologies to Harry Potter and the others. See, who's to blame for blaming Harry Potter? Page 3. We were wrong about many things, including the prophecy. Harry Potter arrived at the Ministry tonight in order to stop you-know-who and his crowd of Death Eaters from obtaining it. After who must not be named left the Ministry, after coming off the worst in the duel, the Aurors were dispatched to the Department of Mysteries, where they found 12 incarcerated Death Eaters. Several of them were the escapees from Azkaban, including Bellatrix Lestrange, though perhaps the most prominent was Lucius Malfoy. See Ministry Moneyman's secret worshipper of evil, page 8. It is also believed that the disappearances and deaths over the last year should be attributed to you-know-who rather than Harry Potter, perhaps the most tragic of these being the murders of Xenophilius Lovegood and Augusta Longbottom. Two lone voices of support were cruelly silenced. It is believed that several disappearances and deaths, such as Dolores Umbridge, Simon Mountney, Jack Butler, Ollivander, Aggie Lafferty, for a full listing, see page 7, were due to refusal to serve you-know-who. The Daily Prophet would like to caution everyone to be especially wary. Harry awoke slowly, wondering why his head and body felt so funny. It tingled, and he felt rather weak, as if he had recovered from the flu. Have I been sick? Harry was confused and muddled, and he did not quite know where he was. He was lying in a bed, and judging by the light coming from the windows, it was the middle of the afternoon. A bustling sound caught Harry's attention, and he shifted his head slightly to see who it was. Molly, Harry said with great relief. Thank Merlin you're here. Have I been sick? Where's everyone? He stumbled up out of bed and threw his arms around her. He had been having the worst nightmare, but as soon as he had seen her familiar, loving face, all the lingering fear slipped away. He couldn't help but grin, weak though he was. Is everyone else here too? Molly froze, and an expression that Harry did not understand crossed her face. The smile slipped from his face and turned into a frown. Why was she so obviously uncomfortable? What was? The memories returned to Harry with a vengeance, and it was as though the room had been plunged into darkness. This was not his Molly. It had not been a dream, and Harry felt tricked and cheated. Would you please get Ginny, Mrs. Weasley? Harry murmured and took a large step backward. You can call me Molly. No, I can't, Harry said. Molly is dead. She's been dead and buried for more than a decade. He felt angry and desperately uncomfortable. Why was she even in here? For a moment he had thought that the last 12 years had been a terrible dream. His stomach rolled and his face flushed. She looked very hurt, and Harry did not want to have to see that, so he lay back down. She deserves it, Harry thought sourly. It seemed like forever before he heard her leave, but it only took a few moments before Harry realized that he did not want to sit in bed and wait. He swung his legs over the side and walked on shaking legs. Just how long have I been sick anyway? Out the door. He immediately heard Snape's voice, low and urgent. Harry managed the stairs well enough, though he had to push himself off the wall. He was just about to enter the sitting room when Ginny came rushing out and ran smack into him. He swayed dangerously and propped himself up on the wall. Harry, she said, you're finally awake. You shouldn't be out of bed, though. How long? Harry asked. Over 2 weeks, Ginny replied. Harry's jaw dropped. He was about to say something along the lines of, what the hell, when Percy poked his head out. Harry, you're all right. Are you? Harry asked. You're not, completely insane anymore. He recovered the next day, Ginny murmured. But he doesn't remember anything that happened. Harry groaned. Not again. I'm sick of memory charms, Ginny. I really am. I think we ought to lobby for them to become unforgivables. It wasn't a charm, apparently, Percy said. It was Forget For Now potion. That doesn't cause insanity, Harry pointed out. Once, a long time ago in Harry's first 4th year, the twins had given Forget For Now potion to Minerva McGonagall in order to get their entire class out of a particularly vicious test. It had not worked, as the twins had apparently not been paying attention to Snape when he said that it took hours to go into effect, but the 3rd years had had a week without homework. No, Ginny said. That was a separate jinx. We think whoever did it wanted to be certain that Percy could not tell anyone something before the potion kicked in. Harry did not even bother asking who. It seemed useless to him to even try to find this person. Look at how many people remained cloaked in secrecy. The author to the mysterious article, the person who had stolen Harry's cloak and, possibly, cast the other Patronus, the 2 people who had forced Rookwood into the unbreakable vow, the benevolent presence in the ministry. Any way to counter it? Harry asked flatly. He already knew the answer. Not without the trigger, Percy said. If the person decides never to use it, I'll always have the blank spot in my memory. Do you have any idea why you'd leave your house? Harry asked. I can't think of a reason, no, Percy said. His brow was furrowed with thought. Believe me, Harry, I have thought about this since I woke up and Ron explained to me what had happened. I wish I could provide further clarification, but I knew very well that I was not to leave the house until Fawkes sent his message. He couldn't have been hit with the Imperius curse, could he? Harry frowned. He couldn't have been, not through those wards. I wonder if you know who used similar bait for me, as he did with you, Percy said. It is possible that if a Death Eater tortured someone on the street in front of my window, I would have been inspired to leave. It doesn't make sense, though, Harry said. Voldemort had already lured me to the ministry. He used false images. He didn't need you. Not really. Harry, the body outside of Percy's house had been dead for over a day before we found it, Ginny said. And yes, that means Percy was likely missing for that time. And no, we have no idea where he went after he killed the Death Eater, or who met him, or anything, really. My head hurts, Harry said. Ginny gripped his arm tightly and led him into the sitting room. Everyone had gone quiet. Glad to see you up, mate, Ron said. Neville, sitting beside him, Harry realized with a jolt that he had likely slept through the rest of the school term, nodded. Luna hummed, twirled a strand of dirty blonde hair, and stared at him. At moments like these, Harry could not imagine her using that rather vicious spell to kill Umbridge. All of the Weasleys were also in the room, along with Fleur Delacour, Remus, Tonks, Sirius, and Snape. Harry wondered vaguely where Dumbledore and Moody were. Fred and George slipped off the couch and onto the floor, and Harry and Ginny took their seats. There was a loud chorus of "Thank Merlin." It's about time. Don't ever do that again. Anything happen while I was sleeping? Harry asked. Everyone exchanged darkly significant looks. Can I take that as a yes? Harry, Voldemort killed the Dursleys, Ginny said gently. Harry gaped at her. The Dursleys are dead? He honestly and truly did not have any idea how he felt about this. Mostly he felt the same as when he heard that Voldemort killed others. Regret and rage. It was spiced a little with the knowledge that the last remaining link to Harry's mother, besides himself, had gone from the earth. He should have expected this. Really, he ought to have spared them a thought, but they had not crossed his mind since he had left them the summer before his 4th year. He wondered if he would grieve for them, and thought that he probably wouldn't. No more than any other death, at least. No one knows, Potter, Snape said. The Dark Lord told me in confidence. It would be unwise to publicize this. Harry's lips tightened. And what else has Voldemort been up to while I've been asleep? He continues to subvert the ministry, Snape said. The number of those under his command is vast. He is, as of now, working to bring it down and take control. He has servants in every department of the ministry, except for the misuse of Muggle Artifact Department, I believe. As neither I nor Argus Perkins follows you-know-who, we can be sure of that, Arthur said. He wouldn't want it anyway, Ron said. When he takes over the ministry, he'll likely start a department devoted to slaughtering Muggles. That day might come sooner than last time, Snape said. We know that Dumbledore has suspected that the increased turmoil and the general stupidity of the wizarding world would lead to this. This is what we wanted, Harry murmured. The faster he takes control, the sooner we can bring him down. I don't like that he has larger numbers, though. We'll just have to take more of his followers out, Moody growled. He did not look as though he were averse to this idea. Ambush him like we've been doing, but all the time. Some of them are under the Imperius curse, Harry said. We don't have the kind of resources to engage in that kind of warfare without killing innocents. Kingsley and Tonks can't trail every single Death Eater, and we can't have the Ministry do it because there are too many spies. And Snape might be revealed. That would be far too dangerous, I think. You didn't seem so concerned when it was Percy's arse on the line, Charlie muttered. Harry was immediately dancing on the ragged edge of rage. He immediately began practicing a clemency. This did not help. How dare he? Harry had done everything he could to keep Percy safe. They all had. Percy had known the danger, had volunteered for it. He kept attempting to close his mind, but the control kept slipping away. Shut the hell up, Charlie, said Ron. Harry would never. I just find it a little odd. Charlie interrupted Ginny loudly. I find it a little odd that it just had to be Percy. Why not Sirius or Remus, for the love of Merlin? Charlie, Percy said quietly. I didn't have a problem with. You were in danger, Perce, Charlie said. You could have died. That nutter who hexed you could have just as easily killed you. Charlie, we're all in danger, Ron said. Harry clenched and unclenched his right fist. This is war. I know that, Charlie snapped. I'm not stupid, which is why I find it funny that Harry here chose a Weasley to use as bait for effing you-know-who. It isn't a secret that he hates us. Maybe he thought the Weasleys needed to be punished for not choosing, for not trusting, and Percy would be a pretty good sacrifice. Harry had raised his wand and blasted Charlie backward before the word sacrifice had left the other wizard's mouth. Hot blood pounded through his veins. His thoughts weren't even coherent. How dare! I would never sacrifice Percy. Fuck him. Protego! Sirius shouted, and the shield charm erupted between Charlie, who had staggered to his feet and was now pointing his own wand at Harry, and Harry. Harry was dimly aware that people were talking loudly. He felt a hand clamp around his elbow. It was too large to be Ginny's hand, and he made to shove it off when he realized it was Snape who was now steering him out of the room. Sirius followed, but he must have told everyone else to stay back, because Harry found himself alone in the kitchen with Snape and Sirius. Let's go to Grimmauld Place, Sirius said. We'll have more privacy, and I wouldn't say no to a glass of fire whiskey. You really ought to take that elfin hand, Black, Snape said. There was the familiar squeezing sensation, and Harry found himself in Kreacher's domain. Kreacher knows that he owns me, Sirius said cheerfully. But thank for the advice, Snivellus. Snape scowled. Kreacher appeared out of nowhere. Oh, Master Harry. Feeling better? Can Kreacher get you anything? Harry sat there, numb, while Kreacher bustled around. I wasn't going to kill him, if that's what you think, Harry said heavily. He stared at the glass of amber liquid, but did not drink. His limbs still felt weak from his cursed illness, and he did not want to know what kind of effect the alcohol would have on him. He looked around the room and noticed for the first time that Grimmauld Place had been cleaned out of the remaining gloom. He found himself sort of wishing that he could hide in one of the long, flickering shadows that had been so much a part of the Grimmauld Place he used to know. We know you wouldn't have killed him, Sirius said. And, just so we're clear, I am fully on your side. And not just because I'm your godfather, although I found it highly offensive that they would kick a 13-year-old out of their home. And I have found them similarly annoying, Snape added. Harry gaped between the two of them. Did you actually plan to have this conversation? Is this a discussion? It is, Sirius confirmed. You're very bitter, Harry. Harry slumped forward in his chair, wishing he could escape. Not for the first time, he wondered when the world had turned upside down. Grimmauld Place was far more of a home to him than the Burrow. He was actively hoping for the swift takeover by Voldemort of the Ministry. He had just cursed Charlie Weasley and wished to do so again. And Severus Snape and Sirius Black had agreed on something. "I am," Harry said. "I can't seem to stop it." "The funny thing about bitterness," Sirius said, "is that it can be a choice." "I agree," said Snape. Harry stared at them. Did they know how ironic it was that these words came from the two of them? Sirius, who had been so bitter that he had unwittingly led to his own death. Or Snape, whose bravery had only been revealed after the fact, because his hatred of Harry had shrouded his loyalties? He did not say this, but the other men seemed to guess his thoughts. "I know what you're thinking, Harry," said Sirius. "Potter." Snape toyed with his glass and scowled. "I did not like the man I saw in your memories." "Neither did I," Sirius said. Harry's sense of the surreal grew steadier by the minute. "I was bitter, resentful. I was drinking too much. And we ultimately died because of that bitterness," Snape said. Harry thought it very ironic that Snape's tone practically dripped with bitterness. Harry gritted his teeth, and the rational part of his brain told him that he had to talk to them for his own sanity. "Believe me, I realize the Weasleys treated you poorly." "That isn't it," Harry said. "Well, not completely. It's difficult to explain. I'm bitter because it's too late. It's too late to build any sort of relationship with them. It won't happen. It used to mean the world to me. Nothing. No one could replace my mom and dad, but Molly and Arthur. They treated me like another son. And Bill and Charlie and the others were like my brothers." "Are you sure it's too late, Harry?" Sirius asked. "You have your whole life." "Except that I don't," Harry said. He blinked rapidly, and he felt sick to his stomach. He had not wanted to tell Sirius this, but Harry felt like this was strangling him, and it had been since the Weasleys had walked into Grimmauld Place. "Sirius, the day that, shit, I'm not going to survive this, I don't think." "Of course you're going to survive," Sirius said bracingly. "You've got all of us helping you, don't you? Voldemort isn't going to kill you." "You don't understand," Harry said. "The only way that Voldemort can be defeated is if I die. He has to kill me. Otherwise he won't die." "Sirius, I'm a Horcrux." Sirius blanched. "What, last time, how did you—" He whispered. "I had 3 items called the Deathly Hallows," Harry said. "It made me Master of Death when Voldemort used the killing curse on me. Again, it didn't work properly because I was protected. But one of the Hallows is destroyed. It also was a Horcrux, and my dad's cloak has gone missing, and the Elder Wand, Dumbledore has that, and I have no intention of taking it away from him. So, I've been thinking about the terrible power," Harry said. "And I think it's terrible because I've got no chance of surviving. Hermione's looking for ways, but I don't think. Are you absolutely certain of this?" Snape asked. "As certain as I can be of anything," Harry said. "There isn't any other way at all," said Snape. "I'll keep looking, I promise Ginny, but—" "I don't think so," Harry said. "So, I know it's selfish and stupid, but I wish that the real Weasleys could be here. I really, really wish that I could have died for them. I'm going to do it regardless. I'm not a coward, and I know what I got to do, but—" His voice trailed away. "It would just be a lot easier. It would feel less terrible. They don't really like me. Not really. They were sort of forced into it." "Harry," Sirius' lips were white. "I want you to promise me something. You had better do everything in your power to survive this. Do you understand me? I don't care if you've got 300 Horcruxes inside you. You'd better make every effort to get rid of it without dying." "All right," Harry said. "I already promised Ginny, but—" "Promise again," Sirius ordered. The morning of Harry's 16th birthday had a wonderful start. Ginny woke him up and gave him his first gift. With the business of the last month, they had not had much time for slow, easy lovemaking. But they made time, and Harry hummed afterward as he showered and readied himself for the rest of the day. He blindly reached for robes and pulled them on. He wondered if Sirius would insist on searching for more and more methods of surviving the killing curse. His godfather had been quite fiendish about it. Actually, Hermione had likewise been galvanized into action, though she remained ignorant of the fact that Harry was a Horcrux. "Harry," Ginny asked, "Do you happen to have a quill on you?" Harry slipped his hands into his pockets to check, but all he found was a scrap of parchment. He was about to toss it and go hunt down a quill for Ginny, when he remembered that this must have been the parchment Percy had written on after he had been jinxed. Maybe I'll be able to decipher it, Harry thought, though he did not really believe it. He unfolded it, and was not surprised to find that it was still written in indecipherable symbols. He flipped it over, ready to take a quick look just to make sure before he tossed it in the bin, and was surprised to find small, tight writing. He squinted at it. "Hey, Ginny," he said. He held the note out to her. "Can you read this?" "Too small." Ginny looked at it. "Try enlarging it." Harry did so and quickly read it. Then he read it again. "To the ones who use the tears and those who chose to believe." You see, one gets confused with time when it is like that. All one's tenses get muddled, for one thing. If you know what is going to happen to people and not what has happened to them, it makes it difficult to prevent it happening if you don't want it to have happened, if you see what I mean. Like drawing in a mirror. "Here, Ginny," Harry said. He held it out to her again. "Someone is effing with our heads again." A half an hour later, everyone who knew about the time travel, except Snape, was congregated around the table in the basement kitchen of Grimmauld Place. Kreacher had outdone himself in the preparations for Harry's birthday breakfast, but Harry could not concentrate on the food. He tapped his foot impatiently, wondering where Snape was and why he was 2 minutes late. No sooner had the sour-face potions master appeared than Harry leapt to his feet. "Giving a toast, mate?" Ron smirked. "It is the Chosen One's birthday, after all." "Shut up, Ron," Harry said distractedly. "We've received a message from someone. I think it's the person from the Department of Mysteries, the one who did the shield charm, Kingsley. But it might not be." "A message?" Dumbledore asked. "How was it received?" Harry waved the scrap of parchment. "I found it in my pocket. Remember how Percy tried to write me a note? I'd completely forgotten about it. I found it today, and I found writing on the back. It was addressed to us, all of us." Ginny read out loud. No sooner had she done so than Hermione shrieked, clapped her hand over her mouth, and used the flue to get back to Godric's Hollow. Harry watched this, both astonished and mildly amused. If he hadn't heard her distinctly shout the address of Sirius' home, he would have thought that she'd run off to do research in the library at Hogwarts. He and Ron exchanged exasperated glances. Dumbledore reached out for the message, and Harry handed it to him. The older man's brow was furrowed with concentration and puzzlement. "This line is somewhat familiar. I think I've read it before, but where?" "From a Muggle book called The Once and Future King," Hermione said. Harry jolted. He had not seen her return. She slammed a thick book down on the table. Harry recognized it immediately, Memories Unbound. That exact quote, she flipped pages until she came to a blank page with only a few words on it, is right here. It introduces the time travel section. "Honestly, Ron, you act as though you've never even seen this book before. Don't tell me you haven't read it." "I flipped through it," Ron said defensively, "but mostly I looked at the Tears of Merlin stuff." Hermione's lips twitched. "By flipping through it, do you mean ignoring everything else but what you need?" "Now is not the time for foreplay," Harry said sternly. He grinned when Fred choked on his pumpkin juice. "Albus, what do you think this means? Is it from our mysterious friend at the Ministry? And what did he do with Percy?" Dumbledore was silent for long moments. "I think it is a safe guess. We suspect that someone else knows about the time travel. It is also possible that they know the method, though I can't think how." "What if someone else is traveling time?" Fred asked. "Doesn't that make more sense? I mean, how could someone just guess that?" But if they already knew, Harry felt the immediate urge to get up and beat his head against the wall. If there was, indeed, another time traveler, what on earth could they possibly be doing? What were they trying to manipulate? The scene in the Ministry implied that if someone was using time to change things, then they were trying to help Harry. But why weren't they trying to do more to help? He glared at the twins. "If there is another one of us, I think it's one of you," he said grimly. Fred and George looked astonished. "Who else would try to fuck with our heads like this?" Ginny snorted. As one, they all turned to Dumbledore, who had taken off his glasses and was now pressing his fingertips to his forehead. The silence was so thick that Harry could hear Kreacher scurrying around upstairs. He felt as though there ought to have been some sort of ominous sign, like a sudden thunderclap or a piercing siren. I do not know why everyone expects me to have the answers, Dumbledore said. I assure you that I am quite as mystified as you. It's because you're Albus Dumbledore, Ron said, and all we have to do is sit back and wait for you to figure it out. Dumbledore stood and began to pace around the kitchen. Harry watched him. Occasionally he would mutter to himself, though Harry could not quite hear the words. At one point, he flipped through every page of Memories Unbound. He set it back down again without a word. I do wonder, he said finally, how many copies of that book there are. It is quite extraordinary. We think so, Ginny said, indicating the three of them. Dumbledore did not reply, but continued to pace back and forth. Harry sipped his tea, his own thoughts racing. Every time he had the solution, it slipped away, and he felt even more confused than before. He understood the fact that the shield charm had saved Harry, but there had been other instances when Harry could have used a helping hand. And why the deal with Percy? I believe, Dumbledore broke the long silence. I believe that it is almost certain that it is one of us here in this room. Harry, you do not intend to tell anyone else, correct? We are the only ones. Correct, Harry nodded. He wiped a hand over his face. But why has this person not shown himself? Maybe we've got to choose, Charlie said. His voice was heavy with sarcasm. But if it turns out that you know who is secretly working toward his own downfall, and we just got to trust him, I'm going to pack up and move to Chile. This is insane. Harry surprised everyone, including himself, by barking out a short laugh. Though he had apologized, stiffly, though it was the best he could do, to Charlie, their interactions had been even frostier than usual since Harry had hexed him. Let's go tell him right now, Ron said. Then we'll know everything. He's been manipulating all of us into thinking he's an evil git. But really he's saving the world from this even more evil git. Luna laughed so hard and for so long that Kingsley and Tonks, who had not had the opportunity to spend much time with her, began to look as though they wanted to give her a calming draft. Don't be silly, Lancelot, Luna said. She beamed around at them, and Harry had the sudden feeling that she knew better than any of the rest of them what was going on. It's not Voldemort, it's Merlin,